Houston, we have a problem, is unarguably one of the most memorable movie quotes. In real life, these words were uttered by the astronaut Jack Swigert to NASA's mission control following the oxygen tank explosion on the Apollo 13 spacecraft. Among those present at the mission control to deal with this crisis was Gerry Griffin. As one of the 4 flight directors of Apollo 13, his team played a key role in bringing back the Apollo 13 astronauts safely to Earth. I am now joined by Gerry Griffin, who is in Paris to deliver a lecture at the Festival Explor'Espace, which has been organized by the French Astronomy Association. Thank you very much, Mr. Griffin, for your time.
Glad to be here.
Can you recall some of the moments after this message was delivered?
It was a shock. The thing that we thought first that was happening was just measurements, instrumentation. And I can tell you for the first 15 or 20 minutes, we were more concerned about not losing the landing. We got to find out what this is. It's probably fixable. After about 15 minutes, it was obvious it was not going to be fixed because the pressures kept dropping lower and lower. And we knew fairly fast, probably within a half an hour, that we were more in a survival mode than we were in saving the mission mode. And now we were trained to deal with that kind of thing, so it wasn't fear or, there was not chaos or anything. It's just that it was deeply concerning because what happened? We couldn't figure out what happened. It took another 30 minutes or so. Jim Lovell, the commander, was looking out the window and he could see something venting out, and it was oxygen. It's what it turned out. And that's what we were afraid it was. And at that point, then we knew we were in trouble. We had to get going here, and if we were going to get them back, and use the lunar module, which thank goodness we still had the lunar module. Had that happened without the lunar module, if it had already gone down to the surface, it was over.
Why is this mission called a successful failure?
Well, the only way we could measure success is did we get the crew back alive? And in this case, we did. We actually learned a lot about the command and service module and the lunar module while they were hooked up. Could be quite a team, and that's how we called the lunar module the lifeboat. And we never had simulated that failure, but we had used the name lunar module as a lifeboat to get back if you had to. So we had thought about it, but we hadn't really prepared for it in detail. So it was, we learned a lot. So the success of the mission was, A, we got the crew back, B, we learned a lot about capability that we had, and we had a bunch of young people that got pulled through all that it was always a good experience. So now had we lost the crew, no way you could have said that.
Now, you served as a flight director on all the Apollo missions. Can you recall some of the other memorable moments during this time?
Oh yes, there were a lot of them. Obviously, Apollo 11, the first landing, was a beautiful moment for all of us. We had all been working for 6 or 8 years on it already, and we made it. There was another one that might surprise you. When we did Apollo 8, which was just a command module circling the moon, that was a big step. It's the first time we had ever sent humans out to another place in our solar system. And I can remember it when we did the maneuver. It was called translunar injection. That was the maneuver that added velocity that sent us on to the moon. It was a gulp moment. I remember everybody thinking, uh-oh, now we've done it. They are leaving the influence of Earth for the influence of the moon. And I can remember that we all said, now we got to get them home. And And there were moments throughout the whole thing that were, it's generally when we solved a problem. And I can recall several of them. It'd be too many to talk about, but every mission had problems. Every mission had its high points. Every mission had its low points. And so, but those two, Apollo 8, just going to the moon the first time, and Apollo 11 landing the first time, were huge.
For the upcoming Artemis program, what would your advice be to the astronauts as well as those in mission control?
You know, it's interesting. I've actually met with several of them, and my message is pretty simple. It's a tough business. It's hard. It's full of risk. And deep space is different than Earth orbit. When you get somebody out at the moon, it takes 3.5, 4 days at best to get them home. In Earth orbit, in a matter of hours, you can be down. So you have to think differently. You have to think more forward thinking. But my advice to them mainly is, you guys are smarter than we were, but just remember, this is a tough business. It's risky. It's full of risk, but the risk is worth the gain. And the Artemis people are great. They're going to be good.